Has he done enough for us to avert a ratings downgrade or at least negative perceptions by the ratings agencies? And 23 billion rand per year for Eskom. Is it enough given that Eskom was asking for 100 billion to be shifted onto the government's balance books? Well, we're going to get some analysis from various people as we go on. For now, let me pass you to my colleague Bulelani Philip, who's standing by with some reaction.
Right, thank you so much, Nombu. We are here just in front of the National Assembly, where we will be taking political reactions from all the political parties. And now joining this conversation, I'm going to call in Steve Swart from the ACDP. The Finance Minister, has it done enough for avoiding this fiscal cliff that you've been warning about?
Well, we know that he had very little room to move given the low economic growth environment that he's in. And regrettably, we see that he had to give Eskom 69 billion rand over 3 years. Now, that was avoidable if one looked, and one has to place the blame for that at the Zuma administration over the last 10 years. Obviously, he could have increased taxes, he could have increased personal taxes, corporate taxes. He did not do that. He increased fuel levy, he increased the sin taxes, and so we are grateful that he didn't increase those aspects. But we are concerned about the increase in the budget deficit. Last February, he said it will be the then minister said it will be 3.8%. We're now looking at 4.5%. That places massive pressure on our government debt levels, which are now looking at 202 billion rand. That is the fastest growing item. So I'm concerned, we are concerned from the ACDP side whether he is able to stick to the strict fiscal consolidation path that credit ratings agencies and that investors are requiring. But there was some good news, looking at reducing the public sector wage bill over the long term, looking at savings of 50 billion rand. But against that, you've got 70 billion rand that is required for Eskom and, of course, the other SOCs. He was very firm about the state-owned corporations, and we hope that he'll be able to implement that and implement the turnaround strategy that Eskom requires, given the opposition that we are seeing from the unions.
Steve Swart from the ACDP. A lot of food for thought there around the analysis of this budget speech by the Finance Minister. For more reaction, I'm going to cross to Manelisi on the other side.
Thank you very much, Bulelane. Quite a very, very difficult budget for the Minister of Finance. We have been saying throughout the day that he has found himself between a hard place and a rock. But with me here is the UD COPE leader, Mr. Mushiwa Likota. Mr. Likota, your general assessment of the Minister's statement?
Well, one of the really significant steps that one must take into account is that for a long, long time we have appealed for the reduction of the executive and the bureaucracy, because huge amounts of resources were going down the drain all the time. And I think that the fact that they have begun to look at that is something that we must acknowledge as one of the singular indicators that some measure of sobriety is coming about. It was important that he also raises the issue that all the public service and public state-owned enterprises will not be given money again. The country must determine whether state-owned enterprises which consume huge amounts of resources at the expense of the education of the population and at the expense of the employment of the population. Your education is where you transform your people into transformation agents of society, of the economy, expanding it and so on. If you don't work on that, you don't increase the size of your economy, you don't give jobs to your people, they don't have education, and then of course you must shrink and collapse inwards. I think that was something very important to keep in mind. Linked to the issue of education is the last point he made, although he made a joke of it, but I think he wasn't joking. The fact that he said it's critical to educate socially, to educate the citizens, that they must know that whilst it was the correct thing to undermine agents of revolution and change under apartheid, by strike, by strike action, by even destroying infrastructure and so on. It is no longer the right thing to do at this time. The schools that were there, however weak they came from apartheid, as long as they were there, our children went into schools, they were getting educated and so on. I thought you should have said something about improving the quality of teachers and teaching, raising the standards of passing and so on. However, on the whole, it looks like they're trying to move. This budget was encouraging and driving in the better direction.
Thank you very much, Mr. Likota. That was the leader of COPE, Mr. Mushiwa Likota, raising some of the issues that were raised by the Minister of Finance here, Tito Mboweni, about especially our state-owned companies. Nompo?
Thanks very much, Manelisi. Well, I'm joined by Lawson Naidu. He's the Executive Secretary from the Council for the Advancement of the Constitution. Thanks very much, sir. Your reaction to the budget?
Well, I think it was a very impressive speech. It was a brave, bold speech, I thought. Didn't pull any punches, and I think impressively he resisted the temptation to respond to populist notions in his budget, and he told the story as it really is. And he wasn't afraid to do so, to tell people that we all need to pull together. So if the seed is going to grow and nourish as he expects it to. So I think it's an important speech and really says government is committed to ensuring that there is fiscal stability as a foundation on which to grow the economy.
Well, a positive reaction there. We cross now to Bulelani.
All right, thank you so much, Nombu, again. Finance Minister coming into this budget speech with a lot of sentiment that is moving through difficult times. But I'm going to bring